And welcome back to Thunderquack Perfect 10, the podcast where we explore the pop culture masterpieces we love. I'm your host, Michael Cohen. You might be asking yourself, what exactly is a perfect 10? Simply put, a perfect 10 is a piece of pop culture media we love unconditionally. This isn't about review scores, it's about pure joy, because everything around here is a 10 out of 10 to us. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Curtis, Dan, Brian, Mark, and Sherston. Your support makes this podcast possible. Head to patreon.com/Thunderquack to get early access to Thunderquack Perfect 10, exclusive podcasts, and more. Now load up the plutonium, set your time circuits, and check that your flux capacitor is fluxing, because we're traveling back to 1985 to discuss the film Back to the Future with Cheryl Bell. Cheryl, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the pod.
I'm so excited to talk about this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie is very, very heavily responsible for the person that I am here in 2025, 40 years later. But it's also hugely important to you, which is why I saved this one for you. Other people asked for Back to the Future, by the way. I want you to know that. I want you to know that. Like, other people have brought up Back to the Future as a perfect 10, but I was like, no, Cheryl's got Back to the Future already earmarked. Nobody gets to take this one.
Bless.
Yes,
Bless.
because I know how much this movie
Yes.
means to you.
Yeah,
and I think that we're similar in that respect.
Definitely. Now, and I know Perfect 10 is about movies that are a perfect 10 in our hearts, right? Like your pod, right? But however, this is why so many people are asking, because I'm fairly confident that this film in particular meets film critic level credentials when it comes to being a perfect 10. So
this is definitely one of those ones where it's like, this is not just subjective. This is like, Back to the Future is objectively one of the best movies ever made. Like,
correct.
It absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is literally taught in film schools as an example of a perfect screenplay. So
yeah. Well, let's I can tell we're gonna get like right into it. So let me give the primer on Back to the Future for those people listening who don't know what it is. I don't know. Back to the Future is a 1985 feature film starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Crispin Glover. Let me try that again. I'm gonna have to edit this. Back to the Future is a 1985 feature film starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Crispin Glover, Lea Thompson, and Tom Wilson. Written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, with Zemeckis directing and Steven Spielberg as producer. The seminal time travel adventure launched a franchise that defined the careers of everyone involved and set a new standard for genre blockbusters. Widely considered one of the best films of the 80s, Back to the Future asks the question, what if my dad was a pervert and my mom had the hots for me? Or maybe it's something about understanding that our parents used to be teenagers too, or something. I don't know. So buckle up, because when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit as we talk Back to the Future.
Nice.
Some of my primers are like very wordy and like very like I have a lot that I want to set up and sort of like get into in that introduction. With Back to the Future, I had so much trouble writing this because I was like, what is there, like, how do I, like, what's to explain about Back to the Future? Everybody knows what this is, right?
So,
like, everybody knows.
But yes, I would just want to take a moment to because the premise or the spark that Bob Gale got for this was, I think, a very universal experience for most people as they are teenagers. So Bob Gale had a high school reunion, went back to his parents' house for attending his high school reunion, and he found his dad's yearbook. And he was looking through the yearbook and he saw that his dad was class president. And he thought, I kind of don't like the guy that's our class president. And so that prompted him to wonder, would I be friends with my dad if we were in high school together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I definitely had that thought myself as a teenager. You know, you wonder, what were your parents like? Would you
Yeah.
have been friends with them? Would you have been in the same group circles as them? And so I think that that's just it. It's just such a great, I don't know. I just love that aspect of what this
Hmm.
film is really getting, like the kickoff for the premise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the funny thing about Back to the Future is that it's such a big franchise with the three films and the animated series and the ride and just all of it, and it's so evocative of the 80s and early 90s, and the types of movies that were popular in that era, that I think like a lot of people actually forget the simplicity of the first film,
Mhm.
right? Like because once you start getting, like you say, Back to the Future, and people are like, oh yeah, hoverboard, flying DeLorean, time machine, cowboys, blah blah blah, and it's like it's very easy to like spin out and start going into like all of it,
Mhm.
and also into like all of the like, well, we travel back, and then like we go back into the first movie, and then in the third movie we're doing things that like affected and it's blah blah blah, and there's like all of this like sort of crazy expansiveness to it, and really um it's one of the first movies I think that really kind of like created that franchise feeling of like, oh, we're going to do more stuff, and it's going to, one movie affects the other sort of thing, right?
You're right,
It was like,
which is funny
yeah,
because they didn't start out that way. They didn't start out
no,
with the sequels in mind, which is hilarious when you think of the line, I'll be able to see who wins the next 25 World Series.
yeah,
The fact that
yeah,
that line is in there and they hadn't even come up with a premise or a thought for 2 and 3
exactly.
because they had no idea how big this was going to be. They didn't know it was going to explode the way it did.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like when you get into 2 and 3, I think it like actually it does a really good job. Like two does a really, really good job of like retconning, reframing, and recontextualizing some of the things from the first movie and turning it into this bigger thing, right? And giving Marty a little bit more of an arc and all of that sort of stuff. But
Right.
the first film is so tight, it's so
Hmm.
concise, and it's really not that much about the time travel. It really is about Marty's dynamic with his parents and going back and experiencing that
Yeah,
and
like
learning about that, right?
yeah, the heart of the film is the characters. I mean, but we have to do give out the shout out to the tightness of the back and forth of the time travel aspect and the timelines, and the one of the things that makes this film so amazing is the setups and the payoffs in this film, which are,
Hmm.
in my opinion, unparalleled when it comes to, like, I mean, any other time travel film, or just, I mean, yeah, I just the setups and payoffs are something that makes this film, and the rewatchability, because then
Hmm.
you're going to pick up on a lot of those things that weren't so overt and were very much in the background, or you have to take the extra time to read that title or read that sign, and you're like, oh my gosh, they really thought of everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, right from the opening scene with the clocks, and we pan past
Yes,
the image of the from, I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's that it's the image of the guy like hanging off of
it's a
the
clock. It's a guy on an
is
actual
it a,
clock, and he's,
yeah,
yes, but yeah, it's in reference to an old film. I forget what the
yeah,
film is called, but yeah, and like, yeah, that
yeah,
one
yeah,
that one shot opener. I mean, just the opening. Yes, can we talk about the opening scene, because it's one of my
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
openers of all time. Just the one shot, the one pan shot, and it's slowly giving you, like, it stops long enough on for you to read the headlines of the newspapers.
Hmm.
You see, okay, this guy has these weird pictures, like, uh, kind of odd to have frame photos of Albert Einstein, and I forget uh, the other two that are there. So you see these frame photos above a bed, and then, like, to pan past these wild contraptions,
Hmm.
these automatic contraptions that this man has set up, and like the newscaster, and they really zoom in on the newscaster when she's telling her
Yeah.
story of the stolen plutonium, because they're like, okay, you really need to pick up on this one part here though. And then
Yeah.
you see the disgusting cans of dog food pouring
Oh
into the,
God.
and you're like,
Yeah.
who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who, what? It's just, and just to come in and just see Marty's feet. Like, it doesn't show his face for like such a long time. You just see him walk in, okay, puts his skateboard down,
Yeah.
setting up this weird amp, which, I mean, why on earth did Doc just build that for Marty? Like, what is the purpose
Yeah.
of it? I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyways, I understand that it's just to set up, like, the whole premise of this scene. They needed to make Marty late for school.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was their solve, which wild solve, just to make a weird experiment of all these clocks being 25 minutes late. But I just love the fact that we don't get to see Marty's face for such a long it's such a great setup.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just so much of one of the best qualities of this film is how much of it is vibes, and the like very musical quality to it, even when there's no music playing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even when like there's it's just dialogue, or even when it's just blocking, there is I and this is Zemeckis, right? Like this is a common
Yes.
thread amongst most of his films, and it's actually something that like Zemeckis shares with Spielberg, and Ron Howard has a little bit of it in his films as well. Like they all kind of obviously because they were all kind of like a cohort and worked together with each other very closely and learned from one another. But there is very much like that era of films and this specific group of directors where they have that quality where it's very like the when you watch the movie more than once, it's so quotable. And one of the reasons why it's so quotable, Star Wars also has this, right,
Mm-hmm.
is that it is there's a flow to it, there's a rhythm to it, there are beats even when there's no music, even when there's like the edits are so tight. And this intro is such a great example of that, because it is just like it is just kind of like a 1 2 3 1 2 3, and you can feel it. And then
Mm-hmm.
when Marty enters, it kind of like it alters a little bit, because it's kind of now we're on his vibe, and we follow along with him. But like it is just like that whole introduction of him, of like the feet and then the skateboard rolls over, it hits the box of plutonium, right? Like it's just one thing after another after another after another, where you're like building tension, but not in a stressful way, not in a suspenseful way, just in kind of like oh, what's going on, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And then we get the sunglasses, and then we get the amp, and then like rock and roll.
Yeah.
Right,
The,
like
the, the
it,
sunglasses that they
it's
could
so
only
good.
have in the one scene because it would just show the reflection of the camera.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we didn't have the ability to go in frame by frame and scrub the camera out like you could now. I love
Yeah.
it, because whenever I see something really reflective in a movie, especially an older movie, I just think of Revenge of the Sith, where they reintroduced C-3PO in the shiny gold, right? And he was shinier than he'd ever been in any of the other movies, and it presented a problem because the camera was basically visible in every shot that 3PO
Because
was
now you're
in.
shooting in high def cameras too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was literally someone's job to go in frame by frame and remove that camera, which is just wild to me.
That's
um
hilarious. But
yeah,
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 I just and like I love that there is no music in this opening scene, and then as soon as he's like, "Damn, I'm late for school," and then we get that banger, "Power of Love" starting. I just because in the '80s, the soundtracks were a big thing. I feel more so in the 80s than they are. I don't know, maybe just because I was in that time frame, but
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It definitely was more of a component in that era, in the 1980s, in the MTV era, right? Like it was like your movie had to have, like, your blockbuster had to have its own song. It had to have a great soundtrack with a bunch of other
great
needle
headliner.
drops and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
you had to have that back then. You
yeah.
don't really, they don't do that very much now. Although I did just see the Minecraft movie, and Jack Black sings 4 times in the film, and there is like a signature song for the movie, but
Right.
it's very rare nowadays that that's the case.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
You want to go, through like scene by scene,
yeah,
like
scene by
you want to
scene.
like
So
run
yeah,
through
and
it? Yeah,
so I love it setting up. All right, Marty's a bit, I don't know, he's seeing, okay, running late. Oh, rides in a skateboard to school while hanging on to the back of car. Like, we're gonna establish right now that Marty doesn't always really follow the rules.
yeah.
Uh, Coming into school, people's vehicles. And then, oh, you're late. Don't go that way. Strickland's looking for you. And oh man, enter like one of my favorite side characters in a movie of all time,
Yeah.
Strickland. Oh gosh, what a treat. Back in the
He's
day when
a,
principals were like huge dicks, I guess, but like,
yeah, yeah, not even principal, vice principal. He's vice principal.
oh my
um
goodness, that makes it even
yeah,
worse.
but that's, to me, like that's the, it's the, yeah, one of the things that I noticed on this watch through as I was watching in prep for this was, I've never really clocked that, like, obviously I know that Michael J. Fox is very short, right? He's not a
Yes.
tall guy. I'd never clocked that Strickland is only like an inch taller than him.
Oh,
Which
which is
means that he is
perfect because,
also very short, and he's got short guy syndrome, right? Like he's definitely got that chip on his shoulder of like, you know, a power struggle sort of thing going on, because he's like, you know, he wants to have that dynamic over other people because he didn't, uh, as a young man,
which
obviously.
which we if so, and I don't know if most of our main some of the main listeners will know this, but the hardcore listeners will know this, but uh Marty McFly was recast.
Yeah,
They wanted Michael J. Fox originally, couldn't get him. He's doing Family Ties. They cast Eric Stoltz, who is much taller than
yeah.
Michael J. Fox. So we wouldn't have got that beautiful moment where he literally touches his nose to Marty's
Oh
while
my
yelling at
gosh.
him. Because they're perfect height, so he can get real up in his face. Like
Yeah, yeah,
literally touches his nose, and it's one of my favorite moments. And I'm like, man, we wouldn't have had, I mean, obviously I don't think this film would have been as popular as it was with Eric Stoltz because he played the character. He saw this as a tragedy, which fair
yeah,
fair reading.
yeah, yeah,
But he played the character so fundamentally different that I don't think it would have been like, yes, the great testament to this film is the wonderful screenplay, but the second testament to what makes this film so great, in addition to the direction, is the actors themselves. They
yeah.
make this film, and I don't think it would have been as successful as it was with Stoltz. And maybe that's an unfair um, point of view, but yeah, no. So we get this great moment where he's yelling at him and he's up in his face, just berating a kid, like trying to
Yeah.
strip him of his self. Like, how sad, like, where's Strickland's backstory? Because I want to know how this man got so
Right.
curmudgeonly.
Well, and he has a line where he says no McFly has ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley,
Yeah,
which is a line that implies that, like, obviously, like, the McFlys have been in Hill Valley for a long, and then later on we get it very much confirmed that they were like amongst the original people that sort of like settled
yeah.
in this area, right? So they've been there since the 1800s. But I yeah, like, there's obviously, like, Strickland obviously went to school with, like,
Well, he was still the
Marty's grandpa
principal.
or
Oh,
something,
with the
right? Like,
well, no, because we see also like he comes from a line of
Yep.
authoritative figures, right? Like with
Yeah.
his dad
Yeah.
being sheriff or whatever, right? Or his great granddad being,
Yeah.
I don't know what level of lineage it would have been, but yeah,
It's
I mean,
so
it's just,
confusing because it's like, because Strickland looks exactly the same in
well,
all
yeah,
timelines.
but
He
it's just
always
like
looks the same,
at the same
except
time,
when he
it's
has a
like,
mustache. But
yeah, at the same time, it's like, dude, what is your deal?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, he has such an axe to grind with Marty, and it's really interesting to me because there is a component, and again, like, it's kind of hard to talk about this movie without talking about the context of the other films, because I think that like 2 and 3 really turn Marty into like the perspective of the character is that he is very much a cool guy, right? Like he doesn't. I think because they walked away from it from the first film, going like, "Oh, we didn't really give him an arc. He doesn't really have anything to overcome."
well,
And
yeah,
so
the
they,
story is very much George's in
yeah,
and that's the
yeah,
other thing that I do like about this film is it is odd in that our main protagonist that is not the one with the character arc. Like he
yeah,
obviously has lessons to learn and he learns that through observing the choices that his parents make and how that affects their future and maybe learning, okay, maybe I need to have more belief in myself and gain confidence in that. But Marty
yeah.
is he's not a cool kid. And I know that I think you might have a little bit of a different perspective from me on this, but he has a smoking hot girlfriend. So
Yes.
there's that. He skateboards, which was super cool in the 80s. Um I, I don't think he's not like the most popular kid, but he's not a loser like the rest. Like
Yeah.
he's and we'll get into it more when we have like a conversation about the scene with his family, but I they do. I can understand making him a bit, trying to make him a bit cooler in the sequels. But I mean, I just want to preface it by saying I don't think he's not cool.
I don't. Okay, so let me be super clear. I don't think that Marty is like his dad, right? Like, because his dad is
Mm-hmm.
is a loner and awkward and all of that stuff. Like, he's a very classic kind of loser archetype, right? I don't see Marty as being that, but I do see Marty as being an outsider when I watch this film, and it's a thing that like they get rid of that in the next two, because but we don't really ever get to see very much context of him in his regular day-to-day life in 2 and 3, right? Like it is very much just the adventure in those movies,
Mm-hmm.
especially 3. It's just we're in the 1800s, we're in the old west, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is a component that like when I look at it and I look at the whole thing now as an adult, I look at it and go like Marty is compensating for a lot of stuff. Like there's I look at the character and go like there's a lot more going on there than what we're presented with. He is cool, like he
Yeah,
is I like, but I don't think that he was high status.
no,
If
and
that makes
no,
more sense, like
yes, yeah,
I think that Jennifer is a girl that he is very much like punching above his weight class, in a lot of ways, but that she recognizes what we all recognize when we watch the movie, which is that like, well, Marty's got something,
yeah,
right? But the way that Strickland talks to him, the dynamic with Needles that they introduced in the next movies, but even like his band,
the,
and the like he gets up on that stage and um the rejection and the way that he takes it, I read that as like that's a kid who's been beat down a lot in
well,
his
his
life, right?
yeah, his family life isn't
Yeah,
the best, and we can
like
see that.
I think that he's I think they're fairly like lower middle income, if that, maybe high low income,
Mhm.
right? Like I think that's the dynamic at play there. I think that Hill Valley itself is kind of a bit of a shithole. Like that's another piece of it that gets lost because we end up juxtaposing it to the alternate 1985 with Biff Trump, right?
Well,
Like
what we
we get
see
that
is
whole thing,
yeah, well, but
but
also what we see is what's happened to Hill Valley is what happens to because in the 80s that's the introduction of the mall, the shopping mall, and so
mhm,
the downtown area is kind of left behind and it starts
yeah.
to deteriorate. And so that's why his reaction is so perfect when he goes back in time, and it's clean and pristine and full of life
Yeah.
and looks great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
And
it
but I well,
is.
and then in the reverse, in two, when he goes into the future,
Right.
and Goldie Wilson has done the thing that he said he was gonna do, right? He says, "I'm gonna clean up this town," right? Like I'm gonna fix things, and then you go into the future, and lo and behold, Goldie Wilson has in fact done that. The downtown is revitalized,
No, it's
right?
not.
Like the
No, it's not. It's still super messy and
in
graffiti, and the
2015, no, in 2015,
no. Oh, okay.
in the
I thought you
future,
meant when
future,
he still comes back to
yeah. No,
1985.
no, 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 because Goldie Wilson, he wants to be reelected, right? Like that's his
Right.
reelect Goldie
Yes,
Wilson or
yes,
whatever,
yes,
right?
yes.
But he does do it, and I like
Yes.
that is one of those ones where it's like I think that like Marty going back to 1955 and like hitting hit like sort of like that one moment is a thing that like has a reverberation that we don't see until we see 2015. But like because there's just all these little things that happen, and it's like everybody that he interacts with, like it kind of alters course, right?
Mhm.
But I just like it's a funny thing to me because I think that we just I think a lot of people lose sight of the 1985 that Marty traveled from and is trying to get back to. It's like this isn't exactly like the best, right? But one of the things that I find so funny is that like he goes back and now all of a sudden his parents are successful and whatever, but they're still in the same house. They're still in the same house, in the
Yeah, I
same
mean, the house
in the
looks
same
great though. Yeah.
yeah, the house looks much better, but it's like, but yeah, it's just so funny to me. And it's like they had kids at the exact same time. Everybody's the same age. But whatever. Like the time travel stuff is only as important as it ever needs to be in this
Mhm.
series. And it's
For
one of
sure.
those things where like people will get nitty gritty with it and they'll try and like
Well,
whatever.
because
And
you
it's
could
like,
make the
you don't
argument
need to.
if Marty once Marty goes back,
Yeah.
he theoretically should disappear the same way old Biff does when he goes back, because
Right.
that version of Marty no longer exists. He would have had a
Well, okay,
completely
but
different upbringing
yeah,
with the
but
new,
yes, agreed,
right? So
agreed.
you just
But
don't think
old
about it too hard.
Yeah. No, you can't think about it too hard. But old Biff disappears in Back to the Future 2 because they cut it out of the movie, right? But
Because
the
his version
the
of himself is now
backstory
changed.
is that um his mom, Lorraine, shoots him, right? So he doesn't
Oh,
get to be
okay.
old because she shoots him when he's like in his 40s, right? Like he doesn't get to
Right.
be an old
Okay.
70-year-old
I
man.
didn't real I was
Um
thinking that because that
yeah,
version
yeah,
of
yeah.
him no longer
It's
exists. So I
it's
was
it's
like,
cut out of it's cut out of the movie, but it's like it's kind of like it's
is it
still
cut
kind of
out?
implied.
I see. I thought
Yeah,
I
well
saw him like no, because he
he
struggles when he's getting out of the DeLorean. Anyways, we
but
shouldn't be talking about the
yeah,
second one.
yeah.
We should be talking about
No,
the
we
first one.
shouldn't.
Tangents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Back to Strickland is a dick. Okay, and then Marty leaves school, and we see okay, he's having this great little moment with Jennifer. He thinks
Yeah.
his mom was raised a nun, is a very
Yes.
important line. So we
Yeah.
learn Lorraine is very much presenting herself as a prude
Yeah.
in her older self. And then we get the great save the clock tower bit with that I love that old lady so much. Tin can.
Yeah. It's just another great example of that like musicality of it, right? Is like the just the way that it's cut and the way that it's directed is like it
Mm-hmm.
just that can punches into the frame out of nowhere, and then she's got this very like sing-songy dialogue. It's just like it just has such a flow to it. It has such a
And
rhythm to it.
she's
Like it
giving
works
great
so well.
exposition
Yep.
and such
Yep.
a great another great delivery of exposition that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, important stuff that we need to know later, but that
Yeah.
is not really gonna come up in a necessarily organic way. But yeah, like so, this is actually a great lesson in screenwriting, as you say. This is
Mm-hmm.
taught in film school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is one of those great examples of like there is no organic way to bring up the clock tower, and that it was struck by lightning on the same day that or not the same day, a week later after Doc Brown figures out how time travel works,
Yeah.
or at least the flux capacitor, all of that, right? Like there's no way to just like organically bring that up.
Yeah.
So don't do it
But,
organically. Do it
but it,
in the most obtrusive way possible,
but it
right?
works
Like
great.
yeah, no, but that's exactly the lesson, right?
Yeah.
Is that like if you look at movies that have to do that, they do it really well by making it actually like impede the progress of the story. So another really great example of this, and we'll eventually do a perfect 10 on this movie, is Jurassic Park, right? Like we get to the island and now it's time to explain how the dinosaurs are made. And instead
Mm-hmm.
of there being like some like, oh, well, it's just gonna come up in conversation. No, he forces them to sit through a theme park ride, and then we
Yeah.
have to watch a crappy animated video. Not crappy,
That's not
it's
crappy,
phenomenal, it's the
sir.
best.
Take that.
But in terms of like what their experience, right, like
Yeah.
what these characters are experiencing, is like we don't want to do this, like. And then and then to address that, this is Spielberg, right? Like to address how obnoxious it is, they interrupt it and get up, and then they move into like a better version of the exposition. And it's this way of like of treating the exposition as actually like an impediment to the plot of the film.
Right.
But we get the information anyways, and that they do that in this movie multiple times,
Yeah.
right? Or it's like there are so many things that get said that there are pieces of throwaway dialogue and exposition, that are actually fairly important when it comes to like the time travel components of it. Like in the next scene, when we go to Marty's house,
Right.
and we see his family life, and the cake, right? And it's like she tosses the cake. Well, I get he was denied parole again, and it's like that. It seems so pointless. It seems like, why are we doing this, right?
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, that point was just that one's a fun one.
Yeah,
In that, oh,
but
it's just a fun joke. We're setting up.
it's all the stuff to reinforce the
Yeah,
time travel components, right?
for
Of
sure.
like, of seeing his family like back in 1955, and like adding all of this context, because then we get a great gag
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
the baby in the crib wearing the black and white striped shirt, and you're like, it's so
Better
on
get
the
used to
nose,
these
but
bars, kid.
yeah, it's so on the nose, but it's also so good. Like it's just it's those things like that. But that's the screenwriting lessons to
Yeah.
take from this, right?
Yeah.
Is like
Just
the
a
setting up those
master
Chekhov's
class.
guns. For some of them are for gags, and some of them are for actual like important plot points,
Right.
but they're all kind of treated with the same casualness. And
Mm-hmm.
that's I think that's kind of the genius of the way that it's written, is
Yeah.
that other time travel stories really really stop to be like obnoxious and hit you over the head with it. Other genre films really like stop, right? But like, again, in this film, not to jump too far ahead, but when Doc builds the scale model, right? And it's like like this is yet another piece of like incredibly dry exposition, but how are we going to do it? We're going to do apologies for the crudity of the model, I didn't have time to build it to
To,
scale or paint it,
yeah.
right? And it's like
And it's also it's
and
Christopher Lloyd delivering the line.
yeah,
A master actor who is great at delivering exposition lines in a way that makes it fun and entertaining too.
yeah, but the way in which it's like the joke is like so snappy, of like we're looking at this ridiculous model that he's built in the morning, like while
Yeah.
Marty like
Yeah.
popped out and then came back, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to do anything more elaborate. And it's like the most elaborate thing you've ever seen in your
Right.
life,
Yeah.
and like salt and pepper shakers and stuff like that have all been painted white. It's like it's ridiculous. But yeah, it's just another great example of how they handle exposition by like couching it in like these throwaway little like character bits,
Yeah.
so that we're not just getting exposition, we're also getting like, because the thing with the cake is not just a setup for a gag later. It is also establishing that Lorraine is incredibly depressed. She's unhappy in her life,
Yeah.
everything sucks, and like, her whole, like the whole family is just like Marty is the black sheep, in the sense that like he seems to have a fairly positive outlook, but everybody else is
Yes.
like in the doldrums, so that when we come
He's
back at the end of the movie, it is that much more contrasted, right?
And it is funny because it's weird because he's like a black sheep, but like the opposite. Like it's okay, so his mom is clearly an alcoholic and depressed with how her life turned out.
Yeah,
His sister can't get is trouble getting dates with boys. His
yeah,
brother, who's older than him and graduated high school, is working at a fast food joint, which I'm not here to say that that's shitty or whatever, but just in the time period that this film was made, that would have been like, oh, look at this guy, he's working at a fast food joint. And then his
yeah,
dad is clearly being taken advantage of by his boss by having to do his boss's work for him and doing that on a Saturday night and all that. Like it's it's this family of losers. Yet Marty uh, seems to be kind of cool in comparison. Like he's not as quite. It's funny. It's just. It,
yeah,
I've always loved that dynamic of his family and just showing how incredibly sad Lorraine is, and the look that she gives after she explains, "Oh, well, if he hadn't hit him with the car, we would have never, I knew when your dad hit him with, that was so stupid. Grandpa hit him with the car. Yeah, well,
yeah.
and then it was that night on the dance floor that I knew I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And then the look on her face as they all look over at him and he's doing this obnoxious laugh at
Yeah.
this rerun show. It's such a good scene and moment.
Yeah, it's so funny because she goes like from the depressed into like this sort of whimsical, far off romantic
Right.
thing, and then looks at him, and we get that shot, and she look back to her, and she's just like back to like, I hate my life. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah,
And the
no,
whole
but like Leah Thompson just is what an
amazing.
amazing performance, right? Like I think she doesn't get enough credit. Leah Thompson just in general, like I know she was
Yes.
she was fairly successful, but
Hmm.
she's one of those actors that I always look back at and I go like, I don't understand how this person did not have a much bigger career,
Yeah.
cuz throughout all three of these films, she just like crushes, right? She's so good.
Yeah.
Um yeah, but
Um
anyways,
and one thing that I heard someone say this and I had never even considered it because obviously she's like, "Oh, when I was your age, I never called a boy or chased a
yeah.
boy or sat in a parked car with a boy." And someone brought up the fact that they think in the old timeline, although she does end up with George, there could have been a really high possible chance that Lorraine was sexually assaulted.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That something did happen with Biff at some point. Yeah. Yeah.
Biff or maybe someone else. And it's like, and
Yeah.
that just puts a whole other layer onto it that I didn't even, I was like, wow, I
Oh,
never
for
even
sure.
thought about that. And
Yeah.
like, it's very, so then you just look at her character with even more like, it's such a tragic,
Yeah.
and then you can understand why she's very much pushing, don't, don't, don't be calling boys, don't be doing this, don't be,
Don't attract that kind of attention. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I was
She's
like,
very much like victim blaming herself, right?
yes,
Like
yes,
there's certainly a component there. Yeah. Yeah. I can
yeah,
see how that read is there.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see very much how like Eric Stoltz coming in and reading the script is like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yeah, this movie's dark, right?
This
Because it is.
movie's, there's a
It
lot
could
of,
be, right? It
yes,
could be, but
yes.
but thankfully we do have Michael J. Fox who brings in the levity of it. And you know what is so interesting to me, because we'll get into the next scene, right? Which is when we're really fully introduced to Doc Brown, when
Hmm.
when Marty shows up at this point the Twin Pines Mall.
Right.
And I we as children of the 80s have no context, right? Like this is Christopher Lloyd. This is who Christopher Lloyd has always been to me, cuz Back to the Future is the first thing that I know him from. But if you knew him from Taxi before this,
Yeah.
it's like, wait a second, what? Like so imagine if Eric Stoltz is coming in and he's giving a much darker performance, and then we're introduced to Doc Brown, and Doc Brown is like this sort of
Zany.
kooky, zany guy, and you're like, now you're like, with Eric Stoltz, I think you're probably looking at that character and going like, why is this kid hanging out with this weird scientist? This guy's dangerous, right?
Hmm.
And I think like that's probably, if I had to guess, that is probably the main thing that they were like, this isn't working. Because if you don't have Marty as like the light, relatable, like everyman fun guy that he is, then this relationship with Doc Brown takes on a very, very different tone, right? But
And
like the two of them, it's like this is ADHD and autism, right? Like it's like every ADHD person has like an autistic bestie and vice versa. Because
right,
this is 2025 context. I've never really watched the movie with that lens before, but now that I do, it's like, oh, that character is absolutely written as on the spectrum.
Marty
Like
for
Doc Brown
sure
is
has
totally on the spectrum,
ADHD.
and
Yeah,
Marty
and
is
Doc Brown is super
absolutely an
autistic.
ADHD kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
it like that's the dynamic, but
and who's to say that, I mean, I don't know if we know if Christopher Lloyd's performance was the same with Eric Stoltz as it was with
yep,
Michael J.
yep,
Fox, but I will also put in, I do there's a lot of early drafts of the film, obviously, and
mhm,
they're relate something that I had always wondered: how in the heck, why are these guys friends? Like, how did they
yeah,
meet? Why do they know each other? And I actually have the answer to that, and I don't know if you want to know it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
So in the earlier um, scripts,
yeah,
because Doc Brown has squandered his family's wealth in pursuit of this, of making time travel possible, right? So in desperation of trying to come up with more money, he starts making bootleg um, porn and gets Marty to sell it to his friends at school.
yeah,
This was literally in the script
yeah,
of how they met. And I was like, when I learned that, I was like, that's something that I can't unlearn now. I
yeah, yeah.
and I was like,
It is, yeah.
wasn't
Again,
wasn't the answer I was expecting, and I just would like to put that
yeah.
back in, the
What
closet.
a wildly different context for the
Yes.
dynamic here, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that like later stuff, like the animated series and stuff, sort of implies that there was like a sort of like a science fair situation that Marty was in, and
Thank
and
goodness.
he
Thank
got
goodness.
help from Doc Brown, and that's sort of like how they met each other, and develop this relationship. And so he was just like, Marty was just like this curious kid that just wanted to, know more about this weird stuff that the doc was doing in his garage that he lives in.
I'll take that version then, because it is. You watch
Yeah,
this scene and you're like, how in the heck? How did these guys meet each other? Like
yeah,
how? But
yeah,
yeah. Anyways, enter Doc Brown
yeah, yeah. And Einstein, we can't forget Einstein.
and Einie. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so important to the story. Yeah. And I think we're introduced to possibly the most important character in the
Oh,
entire franchise,
yes,
which is the DeLorean itself, right?
of
I
course.
Can you imagine what this movie would have been had the time machine been anything but
The
that most
refrigerator.
ridiculous? Yeah, like yeah, because that was one of those other things that went through many iterations, and then they landed on the DeLorean, and they created one of the most iconic I props, pieces of sort of like film ephemera in the history of
Yeah.
Hollywood, right? Like,
And would the DeLorean have been, I mean, people would have just, they would have forgot about it. Like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, it would
it
have been a
wouldn't
weird
have been,
footnote, right? Yeah,
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 it would have been a very small blip in automobile history that people would have ultimately, I think, really forgotten about, other than maybe the cool doors. But like,
yeah,
this solidified the DeLorean as like an icon of pop culture for sure, and is very much a beloved character of the film, you could say.
yeah, yeah. It is. I mean, like, yeah, the DeLorean is a thing that I it transcends this movie, right? Like the DeLorean is the reason why there was a ride. The DeLorean is the reason why, I you know, like Back to the Future, I think is a lasting piece of pop culture, because when you have something as visually iconic as that, it's really
Hmm.
easy to just keep that going, right?
Yeah.
Because even like to kids today, you show them that DeLorean with like that car with the you know, the vents on the back of it and lighting up and all of that stuff, and they'll still be like, it's pretty cool. Right? The kids will like, and this is just a generational thing, it happens with every generation, but you show them the things from your childhood and they're like, yeah, that's nice, dad. But there are certain things where you go like, yeah, but look at this, look at like a lightsaber or the
Yeah.
DeLorean, or
Yeah.
you know, like there are a handful of things that just work no matter who you are and what time period you're in. You know, like some things are just cool. And um the funniest thing to me is, as a kid, having been born in 1985, right, and growing up with this film just as a part of the fabric of you know, my childhood. I when Doc Brown says like, yeah, I figured if you're going to build a time machine, why not do it with some style? I took that as a totally sincere line, like yeah, because the DeLorean is the coolest thing ever. But now as an adult, knowing the full story of the DeLorean, and you know, the DeLorean motor vehicles, right, like the history of the company and the car itself
Hmm.
and how it was looked at, it's like, oh, that's a joke, that line's a gag. Is it
Yeah.
like the thing is all like, it's all style and no substance, which is why it breaks down constantly, which is one
Right.
of the other gags, is that like DeLoreans were awful cars, they were terrible, terrible cars. So the idea that Doc Brown would like pick this of all cars, but then like he's like, and also, you know, the stainless steel frame, like
Right. Makes the flux
like that's,
dispersal. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah.
yeah, it's really like he really picked it for like a scientific reason, but he's like, yeah, but it also look kind of, well, let's be serious, it looks kind of cool, right? Like
Looks kind of cool.
I
And then
I
plays
yeah,
into the beautiful, beautiful gag of it could look like a spaceship to
yes,
someone in 1955.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I Yeah. Is there anything else in this scene that we want to talk about, like with
I mean,
the
it's just funny because I'm like, is Doc just hotboxing himself in the back of that bed? Because when it comes out, there's just smoke everywhere, and I'm like, where is the
yeah,
smoke coming from? What is the purpose? I know it's just to make
yeah,
it look cool, but like the
it's just movie
reveal,
stuff, but yeah,
and then
yeah, very much.
and then the fact that this is the first time he's doing this test. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
we can surmise from his reaction after it works, to stand in front of a vehicle and make your friend stand in front of said vehicle when it's coming at you at 88 miles per hour still makes me die laughing every time, because he has no idea. I mean, he has such great faith that it's going to work, but he actually 100% doesn't know if it's going to work or not, and he's just like, this is how I take myself out, and I'm taking Marty with me.
Yeah. So okay, but here, okay, I'll counter that though, because the movie does open with the clocks, and yeah, they're all exactly 25 minutes
And I was
behind,
gonna
right?
say, yes, you could say, okay, he sent
So
the
did he
clocks
load
back in
up the
time.
car with all
But
the clocks?
if he did, because
Yeah,
that was my next progression of thought. Yeah, he sent the
yeah,
clocks back, but his reaction after it works, seeing
yeah.
it work for the first time, that tells me no, he did not. This is his
It
first time.
Yes. It's also a matter of like, well then, you know, like why is Marty here filming this time, other than the fact that like this is the first successful time travel of like a living creature, right? Like
Exactly, of
that's
an organic
like
being. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That he sent the clocks through first. But there, like you have to wonder like was there some other way that he did that? But he's also not used any of the plutonium yet. This is the first plutonium rod that he uses. So, you know, like there it doesn't actually make any sense if you
Yeah.
stop and think about it. So
Yeah.
it's like, don't worry
I
about
just
it too
think it's
much.
I just think it's hilarious. I'm like, you
Yeah.
guys are legitimately just standing there waiting for this thing to potentially take you out. And I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Christopher Lloyd's performance, the amount of exposition given, his facial reactions, his timing is just,
Yeah.
it's perfection.
It's I mean, like, it is just, it's all of the components coming together so perfectly, right?
Hmm.
Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd having this great chemistry together that is
Yeah.
instantaneous. The design of the whole thing, the visual effects,
I mean,
the
super
DeLorean,
tragic
like, it's
because
just
he is killed in front of Martin. Like that whole side of it. Like
yeah,
you forget
yeah,
about that. Like, so I watched this film once with a coworker of mine who had never seen them before. She's like 10 years
yeah,
younger than us. And so she kind of missed the whole, she's like, no, I didn't really grow up watching it. So I made her watch these films and I got to watch
yeah.
her reaction of watching this for the first time. And yeah, like pretty traumatic moment of just watching me like, oh
This
my God,
weird
he's
dude that
dead.
we just met die. Yeah, 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 yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. It is very weird. I mean, like, the whole plutonium
Oh,
Libyan
yes. Yeah,
terrorists,
that
that
super
whole
racist.
component of it, you can tell that that is the one piece of, like, those original drafts that never got taken out, like, because that feels like it's very much part of the movie where Doc Brown is selling bootleg porn, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that, like, those guys make sense, but, like, when we compare it to, like, where the story ends up going, because it's never addressed again, but where it ends up going, and sort of like the much more like family friendly nature of 2 and 3, it's like, it's this weird remnant. It is this very weird remnant, but I get it's also in line with the fact that, like, he goes back in time and discovers that his dad's a peeping tom, and that his he's got this weird edible thing with his mom.
yeah,
I guess reverse edible. I don't know, but I yeah, like, it's a like, the movie does go in some very weird directions, right?
for sure.
Um,
But
but
yeah,
yeah, but the Libyan terrorists, I it's tough. It's very much one of those things of, like, in 2025, let's address the fact that, like, I don't think that they're speaking a language. I'm pretty sure that those guys are just yelling gibberish.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and it's very much like, it just sort of a very gross stereotype,
yeah,
that was part of an Islamophobic period during Reagan's administration.
100%.
Uh, that we're, living through the
Yep,
reverberations of in
yep.
2025, but yeah, Reagan did it first, and
Hmm.
hey, guess what, haha, hilarious joke, he was an actor and then he became the president, and he was the worst possible person to be the president, and
It's
wow,
funny because
hi,
we're talking about a time travel movie and time
oh
is
my
a
god,
circle.
oh my god, because it's not just that, because it's also the, like, that Biff in alternate 1985 is literally modeled after Trump with the
Yeah,
bad hair and
yeah,
the hotel casino and
yeah,
all of that. Like, it is literally like Gale and Zemeckis being like, well, if you gave him this much power, what kind of a person would he be? Well, he would be Donald Trump, a bully with a bunch of money,
yeah,
right? And it's like, and the the only thing they were off about was limiting the scope of what somebody with that much money and that terrible of a morality would do, and it's like, no, he's president, like,
yeah,
I yeah, because it is so prescient, and yet, like, it's like when The Simpsons predicts things, and it's like, well, it's just because humans are predictable, and these tropes exist for a reason,
exactly.
but yeah, oh boy, so yeah, that joke when we get there, when he
Yeah.
is explaining who the
Oh
president is,
gosh.
he's like the actor, and it's like, oh my god, 40
Ronald
years later,
Reagan,
but
the actor.
anyways,
Anyways, so
I
now,
Libyan terrorists show up, and then Marty has to get in the car, and because Marty is a himbo, he doesn't think about
yes,
what he
thank
just
you.
saw
So like
five
he doesn't
seconds
think
earlier.
about what he just saw. He's going, let's see if these bastards can do 90. And it's only then when he's like split seconds away that you see him do the double take and look at the dashboard and
Yeah,
remember that he's in a time machine. Because then
yeah,
he kind of says, well, fuck it, and he's driving straight towards the photo booth, right? Like
yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
because he knows he's not gonna hit it.
yeah.
But it took him that long because I
because
guess because he's terrified. He thinks he's going to get shot. I understand that he's fear,
yeah,
adrenaline. He's not thinking, but he is very much a himbo in that it takes him, and then he has that glance, and it's like 5 seconds before he makes the jump that he realizes, oh yes, I am in a time machine.
yeah. It's because he has ADHD, and so
For sure, for
he was
sure.
listening, but he wasn't paying attention. But his
Yes.
brain still caught it, and then later on, when the context is there, he goes, "Wait a second, 88 miles per hour. Oh no,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, I'm about to time
Yeah,
travel."
and then that's when
Um,
he's like, "Well, I guess we're doing this." And then when it happens, is still in disbelief that it's happening.
it one of the things that I do really like about him actually being in 1955, like the next scene when he crashes into the barn and all of that stuff. It takes him a second to get his bearings, as I think it would for any of us.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
it would be very jarring to like all of a sudden be in a different time space, right?
Yeah.
I but as he's then driving before the car like sort of breaks down on him, or like, and he stops, he's got the moment of like, this can't be happening, right? And he hits the
Yeah.
flux capacitor, and he's like, because he understands it. There's no moment, because I think in a lesser movie there would have been the moment of like, of the like, wait a second, where am I, right? And it's like, no, he gets it. He figures it out almost immediately as soon as he's out of there. He's like, and he like gets his bearings. He's like, I
Yeah.
have time traveled
He's
back
just
to
telling himself it's
1955.
a bad dream. It's all a bad
But
dream.
yeah, he's just like, he's in disbelief because he's like, it's not possible though. It's not
Hmm.
possible. Despite what I saw, the car disappeared and then reappeared, whatever. There is no way that I'm actually literally back in 1955. And
Yeah.
everything that he sees that's confirming it, he's just like, no, 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 no. Because he also looks and he sees plutonium chamber empty. Like the camera acknowledges all of these things, and it's from his perspective, right? The time circuits aren't working, the car's broken down, he's out of plutonium, all of that stuff. And it's just like, I it's all
Well,
occurring
it's
to
all
him
coming
as it's
and it's all
occurring to
coming at
us.
him real fast. I mean, he just
Yeah. Oh
crashed
my
into a
god.
barn like it.
Yeah. But
God.
then, like he stashes the car, and then we get the wonderful reintroduction to City Hall in
Yeah.
Hill Valley, with Mr. Sandman playing, and it's just like, yeah, it's such a it's because
Yeah,
we
I
got the
love.
great tour of the this sort of like center of town, at the beginning when he's skitching on
Right.
with his skateboard. um and we basically repeat it, right? And I love it because this is a thing that then this motif gets repeated in every film, right?
Yes.
In all three of them, we get like a walking into the town square and seeing the difference, and it's always like it's all like the cafe is always the cafe, and the clock tower are the constants,
Yeah.
right? And then obviously like that center of town are the constants. And it's so great because every time he does that sort of like walk into town and that little spin that he does, it's
Hmm.
always, as the audience, we're kind of getting that little moment. And
It's
then
great.
we get the movie theater and stuff, because like, this is one of those things that as a kid you just don't clock it, but as an adult you do, is that like the movie theater is the same movie theater, it's still there, and in the future it'll play Jaws. What is it, it's like 19 or something like that, and it's in 3D, um as the 3D hologram Jaws. But in present day 1985, in the main timeline, it's an adult film
It's a
theater.
triple
Like
X film.
yeah, it's like, it's something something orgy, like, and it's like, geez Louise, like, because I always looked at this movie as like a family movie, kids movie when I was younger, because I was watching it. But when you really look at it, it's like there's a lot of very inappropriate things
Oh
in
yeah,
this.
no,
But
there's
that
a
was
ton
the
of stuff
80s.
that our parents were letting us watch that we're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But it was fine. It was fine because like
Because
as
it's
a
a
kid,
little
like
gay. Yeah.
I had no context, I had no understanding of it, right? It's I always bring up in Ghostbusters, we get the scene where the ghost gives Dan Aykroyd a blowjob. And as a kid, like, I didn't know what was happening. I had no idea what was happening, and I didn't ask questions. I was just like, I don't know, there's a ghost, and it undoes his belt, and then he like falls out of the bed. And it's
Wow.
like, now as an
As
adult, I
someone
watch
who
it and I'm like,
hasn't, I don't think I fully watched Ghostbusters, and that's pretty wild for me to hear.
oh yeah, it's in the montage in the middle of the movie, like after they
Oh,
catch Slimer, and then there's just like the montage of all of the weird stuff that they're doing as they're like, there's all these ghosts everywhere all of a sudden, and there's just a really quick scene that is very much like, it's just it. Hey, these guys are from SNL, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what it reminds you,
Yeah.
is who these guys actually are.
And
And
that's
yeah, it is just that.
it
It's
is
just
one of the great pleasures of Back to the Future, though, because so many of their payoff gags are in the background like that. Like, and that's
yep.
where the rewatchability comes in, where you're just picking up on those little nuggets more and more every time you watch it, which is what I love.
Well, the fact that at the end of the movie, when he does come back and he kind of skids in and
He
almost
crashes
crashes or
into
whatever.
it. Isn't it like a
Yeah,
church or something?
yeah, something like that. And then Red gets up from the bench that he's been
Right.
sleeping on, and it goes, damn drunk drivers. Um, and we'll get the drunk pedestrians in
Hmm.
two, which is a great callback to it. But it's when he gets out of the DeLorean, he looks around and he's confirming that he's back in 1985, and he
Because of how
sees,
shitty it is.
yeah, he sees the drunk on the bench, and he's like, "Ah, oh, so beautiful, oh,
So the
Red." And
graffiti and trash everywhere. He's like, oh yeah.
it's this totally weird throwaway thing of like, oh, everybody knows who the town drunk is. Like, everybody knows who this homeless guy is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um it's just such a weird thing to me. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, 1955 is a lot different from 1985 in this, and everything is
For
nice and
sure.
new and shiny, and
The people
uh
come out and pump your gas and check your tire
yeah,
pressure and wash your windshield and
yeah. um But then we go into the
ah,
diner, and
yes.
I and he interacts with something that kids today would have absolutely no understanding of, which is a payphone.
Right. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And I rips the page out of the phone book, and nobody says anything. No, like, he's holding it when he talks to
I know. The
the guy at the
audacity to
diner.
rip out the page and just be like, you know where Riverside Drive is? Like,
Yeah,
just ripped the
yeah.
page out of my phone book, bro.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're gonna buy something, kid?"
Yeah.
And then all these great gags about,
Of
a Pepsi
gags
free.
of stuff that
You gotta
doesn't
pay for it.
exist anymore, like Tab and Pepsi Free.
It's, oh my god, like, that is one of the best parts, right? Because it's like, yeah, like, that joke means nothing to a kid now.
Hmm.
It,
Hmm.
like, it barely means anything to us, because even by the time that I was 5 or 6, Tab didn't exist anymore,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and especially being Canadians, like, Tab was not as big of a thing here as it was
Right.
in the States. But yeah, yeah, it's so funny. But again, like, this is stuff that then in like 2 and 3 is going to get called back to, with the Pepsi.
Yeah.
Just give me a Pepsi, and it pops out. And then in the Old West, when he's like, I'll just have
Ice water.
ice water, and it's like, it's so gross, and you're just like, oh my god. Yeah, it's great stuff. But this is our reintroduction to George McFly,
Right.
who's
It's
just like,
such a great scene.
he's so lame. Like,
He is,
he's such a dork. He's such a loser.
but he's such a
I
love. Like for me, for some reason, I still love him so much.
Yeah.
He's a
It
lovable, nerdy guy.
Crispin Glover goes on to have a career and, play some very weird characters and be a very
Yes.
weird guy himself. And sort of like very much lean into the weirdness and the esotericness of who he is as a person. Um, but there's a component in this movie that I he is kind of cute. He
He
is kind of
is.
cute. You look at
And
him, it's like,
when he first approaches Lorraine, when he
yeah,
like cuz he's like there's someone I want to he puts his arm up on
yeah,
the like he's pretty slick when he first meets. It's just the problem is she has no she's only fixed on Marty, but
yeah, yeah,
he's not like you could see the potential of this guy could have some
Yeah.
moves if he wanted them. He just doesn't have the confidence to
Yeah.
execute it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great because it's the performance, right? Like,
Hmm.
because when we see him at the end of the movie, totally different guy,
Yeah,
totally different guy.
yeah, yeah.
But we believe it, right? Like he's got the nice hair and
Well,
he's
we've seen the
and
arc.
he's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But and then
um,
it's great because we get our life preserver joke for the first time
yeah,
here. Biff.
yeah.
Oh man, can we talk about Tom Wilson and how amazing he is?
Please,
Oh,
let's.
and such a nice guy in real life. Like, but just plays Biff to perfection.
Oh, is
He's
this is one of the best on-screen bad guys of all time, right?
best on-screen
Like
bully ever. Yeah.
I put Biff Tannen up alongside Darth Vader, right? Like I think that Biff is such a like quintessential movie villain that like every other bully on screen, every other bully in a movie or a TV show after this performance is judged by this metric.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, he's like a Biff type, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like that's just like he defines it. It's like this archetype is Tom Wilson as Biff. And again, this is another actor that he just doesn't get his due because when you come back in two and he plays old Biff, he plays Griff, and he plays the alternate 1985 Biff,
And
and they're
Mad
three
Dog Tannen.
distinctly different characters. And then in
Yeah.
three we get Mad Dog, and Mad Dog is also
Amazing.
completely different, right?
Yeah.
And yet like they all share the same quality, they all share the same like we hate them sort of vibe. Like there's never a point where we're ever sympathetic to Biff whatsoever, even when we see that his home life living with his
Hmm.
grandma is
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
He then says like terrible things and we're like, oh,
It just makes
he's
sense. They were just like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I get
It's like,
it.
oh, it's just the whole family. It's just the whole
Yeah.
family. And that is the setup for three, where it's like, oh, it's like it's been this way for 200 years, right?
Yeah.
Like as yeah, as long as America has been a thing, there's been a Tannen to ruin everybody else's day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I it was so great. He is very much the fabric of America. Um we say as Canadians, giving a
Right.
little critique there. But yeah, Biff Tannen is the quintessential American, I think. I when people are like, ugh, Americans, I
Sick
think
of the
that's who they're
bully.
talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, not all
But yeah.
Americans. I have a lot of American friends, but like when you
Oh,
think of the quintessential bully of the American archetype in high school, yeah,
yeah.
you think of
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that there are a lot of nice Americans, but I think that there are a lot of
yeah.
Americans that share a lot more in common with a Biff type. But
Well, yeah.
I yeah, there's a
There's a
American
reason.
exceptionalism thing.
There's a
But
reason why
anyways,
1985 Biff is. uh, I mean, he could play Trump. He is
yeah.
just I don't.
Oh,
He's just but he's so
it's
great.
yeah,
I love Biff so. I know we hate him, but I love him so much.
yeah,
He's just so great. And then we get the I love the yeah, that's right. He's gonna be mayor, like with
yeah,
Goldie.
yeah, yeah. Marty being this is where Marty is a himbo, right? Like this is where
Yes,
Marty is an
you're
absolute
not
idiot.
supposed to. You're not supposed to be
He knows
screwing
that
with the
he's in
fabric of time.
1955.
Yes,
Like he's fully conscious of where he is, and yet like there's
and
that moment, and then with the high school when he's like, it looks brand new, and it's like, you idiot, you're in
that's because it is
1955.
brand new. You don't, and
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
kid. That's a joke that went over my head a lot as a kid. But the fact that, and the moment of, do we think he would have told like, because George goes, you're George McFly, and he goes, yeah, well, who are you? And Marty opens his mouth. How much do you want to bet he's going to say Marty McFly in that
yeah.
moment?
Oh, like yeah, he's yeah, he's so dumb. He's so dumb. But it is a great arc because then by the time that we get to 1885, and you know it's at that point that he's like, oh, I'm Clint Eastwood, right? Like he's like
Right?
he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
figures out like, I got to be
Got
a
to
little
fake
bit
up.
more
Got
clever
to make
about
up a
this
fake
stuff.
name this time.
He's even got the moment in 3 when he comes out of the change room or out of the bathroom or whatever, and he's in the outfit, and he's like, Doc, are you sure about this? And he's looking at the costume. He's like, I don't think this is how people dress. Like,
Yeah.
and then everybody makes fun of him, and it's like this
And then
ridiculous
still
outfit he's in.
proceeds to wear it. But
Yeah,
anyways, yeah.
never takes his
Yeah.
Nikes off, which is so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes to, but the bear eats his boots.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's 3.
Yeah.
Which for the record, all by the way, because this is perfect 10. 3 also a perfect 10.
Yeah.
Like,
You could have me on for all 3 films, and I will
yeah,
say perfect 10
yeah,
because I love it.
yeah.
Even 2. I know
I
that some people like to poo-poo on that one, but I really like
yeah.
that film.
No, people want to be cool guys about the other ones, and like, well, like they want to give their red letter media review of it, and it's like, just shut up, just shut up.
Yeah.
They're good movies.
Yeah.
They're fun. They are entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
They serve their purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're actually great in a lot of ways.
And
But
now we
anyways,
come to Peeping Tom George.
yeah. I So there's the component of like learning that your parents were also teenagers once, and then there's the component of learning that your dad was a pervert.
Yeah.
Which we're just gonna gloss over. We're gonna move right past it, and we're gonna pretend like it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
But it is absolutely a huge deal, and it's like,
Well,
what
and
a
then it makes
weird
that
thing
line,
to.
what was it, George? Bird watching? And then he has like,
Yeah,
what, Lorraine? What?
yeah. How about, is that the lie that I told 30 years ago?
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
So
wild.
good.
It's wild.
So good.
It's wild.
Anyways, but then, yeah. And then enter a horny teenage girl in Lorraine.
Yeah. And Marty's purple underwear. I and the Calvin
Probably
Klein
my
aspect.
most favorite product placement of all time. The Calvin Klein underwear.
So
Never
good.
seen
It's
purple
so
underwear before,
it's
Calvin.
so good. It's such a funny thing. Like, it's such a weird. I don't know. Just all of it is just so
Because then
weird
you're
and
like,
awkward,
wait,
and
she took off his pants?
yeah. Or she looked at him while he was asleep, or you're like, who knows
No,
how this went
who's
down,
taken
but
off his pants? It's Lorraine while
yeah,
he's unconscious in her bed.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just like, oh my
And put it
god.
on her hope chest.
Yeah. Um
Oh, God.
yeah, this whole interaction is just like, it's cringy in the best way, cuz it's for the comedy of it.
Yeah.
Um and then we get introduced to the whole family, as we talked about before. Like, we get all the, like, you know, uh
The
uh
great gags of what's a
yeah.
rerun?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we have, do you have a television? Oh, yeah, we have 2 of them, like just. But yeah, you better get used
Yeah.
to these bars, kid.
But another great example, like, every actor in this film is just like nailing it. Every
Yes.
actor, every single
Yes.
person in this movie, there isn't a single line of dialogue that's like, well, that was weird, that was awkward, that
No,
didn't come off
everything's an
right. Like,
Oscar-worthy performance in my head.
yeah, they just it's just all so believable. Like
Yes.
it just feels so genuine, so sort of sincere, right?
Mhm.
Because yeah,
And that,
it,
who the hell is
the
John F. Kennedy?
the component that Marty is so out of sorts in this environment, and yet, like, you're sort of sitting there going like, well, I mean, like, it's just your grandparents. I imagine they're probably pretty similar in 1985 to the way that they were in 1955. Like that, I feel like there's almost a missed opportunity for a gag
Well,
there,
the thing
of the
is
fact
like,
that like, that's not weird. It's like, oh yeah, you still talk like that,
but does
grandpa,
he
right?
see his
Like,
grandparents a lot in the in night? Like, is
that's
his
fair.
dad
That's
pissed that
fair.
Lorraine married such a loser? And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
do
Are
it
they
doesn't sound like, are
estranged? Yeah.
they don't seem like a super close knit, like, yeah, you got to
Yeah.
wonder what that dynamic was really like.
It is
But
so interesting, because Lorraine comes from a very big family. Like, that's a very
yeah,
big family, right? There's 4 kids around the table, and she's pregnant, right? Like,
yeah,
there's it's like, yeah, like this, there's a lot of kids.
Back in the day where
I
you could have a dad that could afford to have a nice house,
Oh
a
my god.
car, and all these kids, and a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
TV.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Listen, even listen, in 1985, Marty's talking about going up to the lake. They're poor, right? Like George it doesn't have a
Camping
great
in a
job, and
car,
he's
though. Camping in a
yeah,
car.
yeah. Oh, is he saying that they're going to
It's
camp
not
in the
like
car?
he's
Okay.
yeah, I don't think he's going up to like a nice cabin or anything. I think
Okay.
that they're
Okay.
just like going up for like a little cabin camping, or not cabin camping, a little like
Like
tent.
like in a tent. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's fair. Yeah, you know what Marty is planning for that trip. Why it's such a big
exactly.
deal to him.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but yeah, like
But yeah.
they're just like all these components of it of like the world is so different. The world is so different in
Yeah.
2025 to
Yeah.
1985 to 1955, especially. Oh my god. Yeah, the one of the funniest things is that if you traveled back now, it's like you're talking about
1995.
1995, and it's yeah, and if you went back now, if you went back to 1995 and told them that Trump is president, boy oh boy,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I which I guess is the next scene, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like it's the next scene is Marty
So,
reintroducing himself to Doc and all of that and the
and another,
disbelief of it.
the character of, I mean, Doc Brown, his entrances through each iteration,
Yeah,
he just nails great iconic entrances. Because now we
yeah,
get another great one where you're like, he's still so zany. What is this guy doing with this contraption?
totally. Totally. Yeah, it is a yeah, he's got this the thing on his head and all of that and the again the musical quality of it, right? Cuz even like the sucker like coming off of it like when he pulls it off and it's
Yeah.
got that nice, SFX pop to it when it
Yeah.
pops off. I but just
You want me to
the
make a
rhythm and the
donation
pacing
to
of
the
it is
Youth
so good.
Coast Guard Auxiliary?
um
Oh,
but
God.
yeah, we see that Doc Brown is like stinking rich.
Super rich. Yeah,
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah.
Gosh, beautiful craftsman.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
I'm like,
What?
what did his family do to get all this wealth? Is what I wonder. But yeah, and then we see,
Yeah.
because he first walks up and he sees the garage, and he's like, well, because you see him kind of pause, because of course that's where Doc Brown is now living in the future, is in
Yeah.
his garage. And then you pan over and you see this ginormous estate, this beautiful craftsman home with beautiful furnishings inside, and you're like, wow, yeah, Doc was really, really, really rich.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I, but yeah, so like yeah, now we get more exposition, right? We're gonna figure out like 1.21 gigawatts, which is hilarious
Gigawatts.
because it's actually we now
Uh,
like yeah gigabyte but gigawatt. It's so funny to hear them say that over
I
and over
know.
and over and over and over again. But we're gonna need a lightning bolt, and so
Yeah,
it's the
then.
clock tower, and it's like, okay, cool, so we've solved the problem. But and then he's like, cool, you can't leave the house because you can't interact with anybody, you didn't talk to anybody. It's like, well, only the worst possible people that I could have
Only
interacted with.
only disrupted my ability to exist. That's all I did.
Yeah. And this scene moves so quick that there's such a great moment that I think so many people have missed, which is he hands him the photograph and he's like,
Hmm.
look at this, and he's like, well, an obvious fakery. They've cut your
They've
brother's
cut
head
off your
off,
brother's hair. Yeah.
which or hair, yeah, and it's like we didn't notice it necessarily
No, sure didn't.
watching it, right? Because
Sure
it's such
didn't.
a slight thing. But
Yep.
then 2 seconds later, Doc is like, hold up, let me see that
Wait a
picture
minute.
again,
Yeah.
right? And then he's like your brother's being erased from existence, and it's like, is this how? Okay, so like why does it take so long anyways? Because it's
But
going to take a
also,
full week for
why is
Marty to
it
be
taking
erased, but
why is it taking the firstborn first?
right.
And then,
right?
like,
Well,
don't you think
because
Marty would disappear first? I don't know.
no, because we're thinking about it logically, which is that if you pull the foundation out, then everything crumbles.
Right.
But the way that they're treating it is as if like the reverberations have to like actually travel through time, right?
Or,
And so it's gonna hit the oldest first, and he's gonna be erased first before it catches up to Marty. This
I
is
mean,
evidence that in the Back to the Future canon, there is there's sort of like an existential other realm of time and something that corrects the timeline, right?
or I'll challenge you and say that
Sure.
the dance hasn't happened yet. So theoretically, she could still kiss him on the dance floor under different circumstances. Because
Sure.
we're working up
Yeah.
to that point when because she says it was when she kissed him on the dance floor, that was when she realized she was going to spend the rest of her life with him. And so
Mm-hmm.
now it's just, okay, the likelihood of that happening now is diminishing the closer we get to that point in time because we've taken away that original, okay, Florence Nightingale effect here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand like how it's not going to be instantaneous yet, and that's why it doesn't catch up to Marty until like they are literally on the dance floor.
I mean, for me, it is one of those things where it's like this is just the way that they've chosen the mechanics to work, right?
For
And
sure.
as long as the movie tells you, like, explains it to you in a way that it makes sense, then like, don't question it, right? But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is the
Don't think
difference
about it
between
too
the way
hard.
that yeah, that people went to the movies in the 80s and the way that people go to the movies now, right? But it's also, I mean, like, I love it because it is also an accidental setup for one of the best jokes in the MCU, which is in Endgame when we're doing time travel stuff and they start talking about it with Back to the Future rules, at which point they're like, what who's you you're just talking about stuff from movies. That's not how it really works.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're in a movie, guys. This is a movie. Yeah, it's so funny to me. But yeah, that is one of my favorite. Like, why don't we just go back and kill
Yep.
baby Thanos?
Yeah.
And but it's like, well, because you're just creating another alternate timeline. And when we get to two, we kind of start to establish that, like, yeah, that is kind of what's happening, but um
It's just reshaping destiny. Your
yeah,
your actions will, like how Doc says, your future is whatever you make it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're changing certain events that are going to shape your future in different ways. So
But
it's the lesson
yeah,
about destiny, basically.
Endgame addresses the biggest issue with the time travel in Back to the Future, which is that if you went back and you changed the past and then you didn't exist, then you never went back and changed the past, and so you do
Yes,
exist
the paradox. Yeah,
in
the
order to
great
go back,
paradox.
right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it like the logic in this franchise does create a paradox,
For sure it
but
does.
and then Endgame was like, well, no, because you can't create a paradox. Like, that's the whole point of it being a paradox, is that if you did, it just wouldn't. And so it does, but it doesn't, and then it doesn't, and that's a paradox. And like, a paradox literally can't exist. Therefore, the answer must be the multiverse, right? Like, which is what that ends up being, right? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
every causality creates an alternate timeline, and then we have the TVA and blah 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 blah. But that's it to me. I look at that and it's like, well, Back to the Future, so there is some sort of like TVA, or maybe it's some sort of like actual natural force, not weird people outside of time, but something is like pruning the timeline. It just takes a little while to catch up to Marty, and it's going
Mm-hmm.
to start with his hand, even though it started with his brother's head.
Right?
um uh, whatever, it's fine. I As a kid, I always looked at that as when he's playing the guitar and he starts not being able to play anymore. I always, as a kid, read that as like, oh, that other guy is now going to be his dad, and so he doesn't have the talent to play the guitar, right? But then like you read it, watch it now, and it's like, oh, it's just that his hand is about to disappear, so he's like not able to play the guitar with his hand
Mm-hmm.
because it's starting to disappear on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a kid, I was always like, oh, it's like a different his that other guy couldn't play the guitar. It's like, so clearly like George was musical in some way, creative at least, right? Because he writes science fiction. But in any case, it's neither here nor there. But man, we're an hour and a half in, and
I know.
we're
I was
like
like
not even
tangents.
halfway through the movie.
I
So
know.
we need to
I mean,
just pick up the pace a little bit for it.
either we pick up the pace or we do a part 2, which I'm fine with. But anyways,
But no, I think
because
we can. I think we can get through some of this other stuff and
okay, I
get to
think.
it a little bit faster. But yeah,
Oh, okay. So I just want to point on Doc being amazing and saying rhythmic ceremonial ritual in referring
yeah.
to a school
Oh,
dance.
his
Um,
complete lack of understanding of like of being a human. This is when I was watching it this time. That's where I was like, that's the autism.
yeah,
That's the
yeah, that's
autism.
the
That's
autism,
absolutely,
and then
yeah.
Marty's
There's no other way
ADHD
to read
right
that.
there beside. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then yeah, we get the okay. There's Strickland again being a dick. Florence Nightingale effect. Nurses falling in love with patients, which yeah, now we can understand why a smoking hot babe like Lorraine would fall in love with. I mean, George was cute, but he was a dork.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, but seeing again just how, like, with Biff at the cafeteria with her, and how absolutely, like, that is a form of sexual assault. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that he is saying to her in the
and then and
cafeteria.
then and then Back to the Future 2 reinforces it, like when she's
Mm-hmm.
picking up the dress and
Yeah,
he harasses her there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. They definitely like they address it in this one, but then in 2 they go back and they really like make
yeah.
it a thing of like, oh, like no, Biff like was targeting her and in the way that he targeted George, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, so reading between the lines that something else happened
Mm-hmm.
at some point to Lorraine. Yeah, like I don't think that that's a stretch. I think that that is absolutely a solid reading of the text as it
Mm-hmm.
is.
And then we
um
get the
yeah.
amazing moment of George writing and Marty being like, "Well, no, let me read some of it," and him being like, "Oh no, like what if they didn't like it? Like I don't think I could take
Hmm.
that kind of rejection." And then that's where we're like, "Oh, we're getting that beautiful moment of this son is very much like his dad in a lot of ways, and now we're seeing
Yeah,
where that comes from."
yeah.
Um, and then of course the beautiful story of them overcoming it and blah blah blah. But yeah, that important moment there. And then I can't ask her out to the dance. I'll miss my favorite show, science fiction theater. And then so in when Marty goes back, does Darth Vader and does Spock come from Vulcan if it's a creation instead of by George McFly from his?
Yeah. Yeah, he absolutely alters the timeline because there you have to imagine that there's a moment in 19 when does Star Trek premiere in like the 60s,
The
right? In
60s,
like
yeah.
60 66 or whatever. So like 10 years later, I when he's like, wait a second, Vulcan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then 10 years later in 1977 when he's like, Darth Vader? What?
Yeah.
Wait a second. It's all like, yeah, you had to imagine that George was probably a little bit annoyed. He's like, they're stealing my ideas.
Right. How do they
Which
know
is
that those
something.
things exist?
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good question to ask, like of this franchise. Is that like in present day 1985, in the alternate 19 or in the
The
happy
new.
1985, right? The new
Yeah.
1985. Does George McFly believe that aliens are real and that he was visited when he was
100%. His book.
17 years old? Right?
Look at
He
the cover
does,
of his
right?
book.
And
That's what his book
it's
is
the
about.
cover of the book, and it's like, but the thing with that is that it is the cover of the book, but like, is he telling people that that really happened to him? Right? It's
100%, I
like,
think.
You think so?
I think so.
And yet he's still managing to be successful. So
Well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, that's great. I'm happy for him.
Um, and
Um,
then okay, so let's start. And then we get the amazing scene, the chase scene,
yeah.
the with the diner.
Well, this is why people have the opinion that Marty McFly is like cool
Hmm.
TM, like branded as like a cool guy, because this is a legitimately cool scene,
Yeah.
right? Like he does cool things. He is a cool guy. But for me, it's like I look at it now and I go like, well, this is just like circumstances lead to this and he becomes a heroic character, right? And like, so obviously he had that in him the whole time, in the same way that George does at the end of the movie, right? Like they have this inside them, they just need to like bring it out. But
Right.
like I it's one of those things of like he's very cool to a bunch of people in the
I mean,
1950s,
punching
right?
out
Like,
Biff is going to give you street cred right away.
oh,
Like,
for sure, for sure.
yeah.
But I just want to juxtapose it to two, because when he goes to the future and he thinks he's going to be a cool guy in the future,
Hmm.
in the cafe 80s, and he's like, oh, whatever, I can't remember the name of the game, but like whatever the game is, the sharpshooter game, and he picks it up, and this is a setup for 3, right? But he picks it up and he does the bang bang bang, and then Elijah Wood, Frodo, is like, what? You have to use your hands? It's like a baby's toy.
Yeah.
And they think he's a loser because he just played a video game with his hands.
Hmm.
So it's like, it's the thing. And I think the purpose of that joke is that, like, in juxtaposition to, like, he goes back to 1955 and he's a cool guy because he's a kid from the 1980s
Yeah.
in the 1950s.
Yeah.
If you take a kid from the 1980s and you put them in 2015, kids in 2015 are going to be like, the things that you think are cool are super lame,
Yeah.
right? Like, just that, like, there's this forward progress of like, and it doesn't matter that he is still 17 years old, this is only a week later. Right, it's the same character. It in 2015, the things that he thought cool were cool in the 80s and that he was good at in the 80s, they're going to be like, that's pretty lame, that's pretty lame. I Which is just so funny to me. um but
But I
yeah,
mean, he's cool. He invents skateboarding,
he does
right?
invent skateboarding.
He
You
invents
can thank him, Tony
skateboarding,
Hawk.
right?
um
Yeah,
yeah
that was
uh
one of their storyboards. Well, Marty McFly invents skateboarding, so we got to
yeah
show him skateboarding in 1985, and then we get the cool. The move that he does is very reminiscent of. I think why I love this scene so much is it does remind me of the truck chase scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark so
yep
much, where he decides, okay, because Biff is literally going to ram this kid into another,
He's
like, he's
gonna
going to
kill
kill
him,
this
he's going to
guy.
murder him.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's going to murder him. And he has that great moment of, well, I'll just run through this convertible and hop on the back. And it's just like the truck scene with the, okay, I
yeah,
guess I'm going to go underneath this truck now and pop out the back. Right.
yeah.
So, ah, gosh, I just love it. And then,
it
yeah,
it's so great because, like, you see it and he's on the front of the car, right? And there and Biff is driving like a madman, and he's gonna crash him into the thing. But previous to that, they're also like, he's at the front of the car, and Biff's lackeys, right?
throwing
They're
beer
chucking
bottles
beer
at him.
bottles at him, and like, none of them managed to hit him, thank God, because like
They're
if
all
they had managed to,
stormtroopers.
yeah, like if they had managed to hit him in the head with one of those beer bottles, he would
Yeah.
have gone under the car and been dead,
Yeah.
right? So again, like these teenagers and everybody in town watches this whole thing. They
Yeah.
watch these 17-year-olds try and actively murder another 17-year-old, and then he crashes his car into the manure truck. So the police obviously are going to be involved with this, and yet there's no repercussions. He's just at the dance the next day or 2 days later or whatever, right?
Hmm.
I'm sorry, what? Excuse me? How
1955
is
was
he?
wild.
Yeah, like, how is he not in jail? He should have been, something should have happened. He crashed his car into a parked
I
vehicle,
mean, that is,
right?
he crashed his car into a manure truck. That's the punishment. Is your car
Yeah.
full of manure?
So in 1955, they're like, well, I guess you got your
I guess
just
you learned
desserts.
your lesson, son.
You did $300 damage to my car. $300 damage. $300. It's.
What would
I took
that
the girls
be?
to.
What would that be in
I,
today's?
I mean, damage to a car in that fashion would be thousands of dollars
Yeah,
now.
like what
I
would
don't.
three
I
hundred
don't know
bucks
if it
be in
matches inflation, but yeah, absolutely. Like
for inflation? I would
be
wonder what
wild.
that amount would be. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it cost $100 to take my girls to go see Minecraft yesterday. So
yeah, that's nuts.
between movie tickets and snacks,
Yeah.
it was. I mean, at least $80 Canadian. So, yeah. Yeah,
Anyways,
$300 damage to my car.
that's
Yeah,
a lot.
when it's got to be like they got to like dig out all the manure and whatever.
And then
Yeah.
Lorraine follows her crush home. So never
Yeah.
chased a boy. That's a lie. You followed this, and this scene where she wants him to ask her if you just watch Doc during this scene.
Oh yeah, he like Christopher Lloyd gives such a great performance because there's a moment where he like almost like he kind of like turns around. He's like, "Oh
Yeah,
my god, I
yeah.
can't deal with this." Yeah, yeah, and then afterwards, Doc's like, "This is a bigger problem than you originally implied. Like this is a much bigger problem. You really got to sort this out." Like Doc kind of like resets the stakes for him of like, "No, you are like." You got to try harder, man. You got to try harder. Yeah.
He says it on his face though. He's just like, oh boy, okay. So and then okay. So let's rush through here. We got
Well, so
then
they cook up the plan,
the
right?
plan,
And
which is I'm going to
yeah.
sexually assault my mother, and she's going to get upset with me, and then you're going to punch me out. Okay, cool,
It's
cool.
wild that we open this podcast with like this is widely regarded as one of the best films of all time. I think everybody can agree. Absolutely. And then as you go through it, it's like this is one of the most problematic movies ever made,
Hashtag
right? It's
hashtag
yeah.
Eric Stoltz was right. It's a tragedy.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely, but it is, but in the way that Shakespeare, with all of the comedies, if not for
Yeah,
the jokes, they are all also tragedies because comedy and tragedy are the same thing,
yeah.
right? Like they are from a narrative perspective, they're the exact same thing. Yeah, so it's so good. It's so good. But we set it all up, and then yeah, I think we can just kind of like jump forward to the night of the dance itself.
Yeah.
We're like because we get a little bit of like, oh, we're gonna set up the thing and the
Yeah, he tries to
his
tell
weather
Doc. He
experiment.
tries to tell
Yeah,
Doc like
yeah.
what's going to happen to him, and then he's like, "No, shouldn't." And then he writes, which Marty's penmanship is it's gorgeous. Writes in this letter,
Yeah, very unexpected, right?
but yeah, I was like, "Wow,
this
Marty's
this
really
juvenile
great at
delinquent of a kid. He's
calligraphy."
got 4 tardies in a row. Yeah, but he's got perfect penmanship.
Perfect
Just
penmanship when it comes to like,
amazing cursive,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
puts a letter in his pocket. Okay, so then we're at the dance, and then realizing the horrifying moment of, yeah, I'd love to park. It sounds like a great idea. And we're all
Yeah,
like, oh no.
this plan is based on Marty's picture of his mom in his mind, which is like, well, she's
She's a
obviously gonna
nun.
hate this,
She's raised by
right?
nuns.
Yeah, but then she's like absolutely no, like she's like 2 seconds away from taking her panties off, right? Like it's crazy.
And then
Um,
but what makes it work is the fact that it's Lorraine after she kisses him, that it's Lorraine that pulls back and is like, this is wrong. Like I can't explain it, but I feel like I'm kissing my brother type thing. And that's what makes it in the end all okay. Like then we're able to be like, oh, ha ha ha, funny scene. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I it's again it's cringe in the best way, right? Like it's just like you're sitting there going like, oh my god, this is so painful, but it's because we're in Marty's shoes and we're like along for the ride of like, man, this is the worst. And it's like, no, you wouldn't want to meet your parents when they were teenagers. It would create so much
Yep.
confusion and awkwardness.
Yeah.
um
And then
and then Biff shows up
Biff. Yeah.
instead of George,
George.
and yeah, it
And one of the scariest, like there's a moment, like obviously, like okay, gets in the car, they another racist moment where they throw Marty in the trunk and they're having the back and forth with the guys there. But
Yeah.
when we come back and George opens up the door and sees that it's Biff, but Lorraine's face in this
Yeah.
scene and the desperation in her voice, because she was about to walk away and she says, George, please help me.
Yeah, and Biff shows his true colors here, right? Like this is where we see that Biff isn't just a bully. Like Biff is
Mm-hmm.
this is a very bad person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he's like just walk away, McFly. Like, and it's like the intent in his eyes, and this is Tom Wilson's performance, right?
Yeah.
The intent in his eyes is, if you don't, not only am I going to do what I'm about to do, but I will also probably beat you within an inch of your life, if not past that, right? Like this is a guy that like he absolutely, I mean, like we just talked about it, he did almost kill Marty. He does in the alternate future kill George,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he is like, that's, it's all there and it's always been there, and it's, and like this man is a, he's an idiot, but he is a dangerous idiot. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is definitely, I don't know, psychopath, sociopath. I don't want to pathologize it too much,
Mm-hmm.
but like, but Biff
He is a
is
deeply
not a,
disturbed man.
yeah, he is not a well man.
No.
This person is a danger to others. Yeah, it is like legitimately scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, but that's just a testament to Tom Wilson's performance, because
Mm-hmm.
we've been kind of laughing at Biff thus far. Like he's been a threat,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he's a
But
cartoon
this is
character.
the moment where it shifts and you go,
It turns,
oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
But Crispin Glover, great performance of like, of the fear is there, but bravery is not being fearless. Bravery is being scared and doing it anyways,
Exactly.
right? And so that's where we see that quality that Marty has, that he got clearly from his dad. His dad just
Mm-hmm.
never faced with the moment
Yep.
where he comes to realize that in himself. And so yeah, it's such a great heroic moment
Yeah. And
of
I
him
love,
standing up to Biff, and then Biff, stop, you're gonna break his arm, and then him just being like, you know what, enough is enough, and
yeah,
just laying out
you
Biff.
see,
It's
you,
so good.
and the moment afterwards where he's just so elated, like he's looking at his hand, like elated, like I finally did it. I
Yeah,
finally stood up to this SOB. And he has that little moment. And then he's like, oh yeah, Lorraine is here. Are you okay? And reaches out his hand, right?
yeah,
Like it's such a beautiful little moment
yeah.
after he does it. And then you
And
see,
yeah, yeah. And it's the first climax of three climaxes in this film,
oh
which is
yeah,
so
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Because then we
The,
get, Marty gets out of the trunk, but the guitar player cuts his hand,
yep.
and I oh no, we need
And
a
then
guitar player. It just so happens that Marty is an amazing guitar player. But this, okay, so this is one of my other pieces that is part of my theory that Marty is not as cool as in 1985 as he is in 1955. Because this is our realization of that moment when he is up on stage and he's playing, and it's like, they play Earth Angel first, right? And it's fine. And then it's like, okay, now he's gonna play a song, and he's like, blah
Marty's
blah
going to
blah.
invent rock and roll, which is the other
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
an
racist thing.
absolutely, yeah, totally racist and disgusting thing, but that's fine. It's just a
But
movie, guys.
he's doing
It's
so
just a
good
movie.
playing Johnny Be Good.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
they're not ready for the 1980s. He does a good
No,
job. And then you
he
have,
does, until he starts soloing,
and
and
doing all
then
the big riffs of all the other guys that are popular in 1985 though. 1985
yeah,
kids would have liked it.
no, no. I think that is you being too young in the early 80s and the 90s to understand that the riff that he plays is pure nonsense. It's not good.
No, because he
The,
goes
the
into, I think it's a compilation of different popular riffs that he's kind of like molded into
But
one.
that's the point. But that's my point. This is what to me confirms that, like, in
But
1985,
okay,
a
but
lot of
at the
people are probably looking at him and going like, Marty's a little bit much. He's like, he is talented. He can play the guitar, but this is what Jennifer is kind of trying to say to him is like, hey, if you would just like chill out for 2 seconds, send your demo to the record company. You're talented enough. Like you can
because he
be a
doesn't.
professional musician, but
Okay, but
stop trying to be AC/DC because you're not.
he does a good job though for the audition for the dance in 1985, the cover of Power of Love. He does a good job
yes.
then too. So he's a good player. I don't know. I just think he gets
No,
he gets a little corny.
I'm not saying that he doesn't know how to play the guitar. He does know how to play the guitar, and he is a good guitar player. Marty doesn't know when enough is enough.
Okay,
Marty doesn't know
that's
when to
fair.
chill out and like bring it back a little bit. And
Reel it
so
in.
I I read that kid at 17 years old, and I say this because like I relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
That kid is the one who is like, I'm going to win the battle of the bands because we're going to shred harder than anybody else. To which the rest of his band is like, maybe if we actually just like played like we played in rehearsal, we could win. Right. But if he actually did get into battle of the bands against those other bands,
You
it's
think
like,
this Marty would come out?
like I think that a lot of other people, like I think the actual cool kids at school, like the Emilio Estevez from Breakfast Club, right? Like I think like that guy looks at Marty and goes like, "Oh my god, this kid! Like he just like he's trying way too hard to be
Yeah,
cool."
but was
But
Emilio Estevez really the coolest one? It was the other guy. It was the Rebel Rouser guy.
Judd, Judd Nelson,
Yeah. He would
no,
have thought he was cool.
yeah, we're talking about different
Anyways,
definitions of cool
anyways,
because
anyways, anyways.
you're talking
Tangents,
you're what
tangents. We need to.
no, but what you're talking about is like what we actually like see as like a cool person, whereas
Right.
like I'm not talking when I say cool, like I'm saying that like Marty McFly was not popular. Marty
Yeah, and
McFly
he
was
wasn't
not
like.
well regarded by his peers. I think that he was made fun of a lot. I think that he was very much like his dad, but like not as bad. Like his dad was a total loner and totally
Yeah,
like
no.
outside.
I think he was
But
more middle ground.
I think that Marty was not as high an achiever as the next two movies kind of start to make him look like, because at that point, then like Marty McFly is a cool character in film canon, and so the movies reflect how cool he was. But I think in that first movie, it's like no, I think he's cool in 1955, and all of this stuff is working for him really well. But that in 1985,
Oh, it doesn't
he's
translate as much.
yeah,
Yeah,
he is not regarded by his peers in the same way that he is in
right.
the scenes in this, right? um he's a bit of a I mean, like I think that Strickland is right. He is a slacker. He's got all these tardies. He hangs out.
Well, yeah,
What
he's got
if he's
tardies. He's selling bootleg
if
porn.
yeah, if he's popular, why is he hanging out with Doc? If he's
Yeah.
popular, why
No,
is he
yes.
hanging out with Doc,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
That's like
Fair.
that's weird kid. That's weird
Yeah.
ADHD kid
Yeah.
stuff. And so yeah, he is definitely like he's got friends. He's not a total
Yeah.
loser, but like
Yeah.
he is definitely sort of an outsider.
Yeah.
Um that's my read anyways.
Yeah.
So this is the second climax, right? He plays the music and then he almost disappears, but then
Yeah, because drunk guy cuts in
yeah,
and
yeah,
then we get George finally now, okay, you did it once. Can you do it
mhm,
again? When it
yeah.
when and yeah, pushes the guy over, goes in for the kiss.
But
And then
although
we
all of that
come
is fine and the picture comes back to normal and whatever, everybody's back. It's
now we
like,
got to get Marty
uh-oh,
back.
now we still have to get Marty back. So now we have our
Yeah,
third climax, which is like a
which
full act
oh my
climax. Like
gosh,
it's
this
crazy how
act.
long it is.
It's and if and I forget how long it took them to edit this final act. It was a very long time because you are going up against you have most climaxes don't have a clock with the countdown in the background.
Yeah, yeah,
And so you've constantly have that as a reference, and this is just such a master class in editing this
yeah,
final
yeah.
scene. And it's so suspenseful. When I was watching this with my girlfriend, she was like, I am so stressed out right now, like.
Yeah,
And
because the car won't start.
Well, you have
Doc won't
okay.
read the letter.
Doc tears up the letter. Okay.
The tree branch falls.
The car, yeah, the thing goes. Which, by the way, if he had gone when the alarm went off, he would have been too fast because I don't think Doc
Yeah.
took into it the fact that Marty speeds when he drives. But yeah, and then it's like, oh no, the cable's disengaged. Okay, I got to get up there. Oh no, the ledge is breaking. Oh no, the cable is attached to his like pant leg. Okay, now I got to get the cable. Okay, now I got to get down and attach. It's just like it's
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
thing after thing after
so
thing after thing.
brilliantly
Yeah.
cut. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then Marty. I'm talking about himbo. Sorry. Oh, if I only had more time. Oh, I'm in a time machine. I got all the time in the world. Only gives himself 10
10
minutes
minutes.
when he
10
knows
minutes.
for a fact that this machine shuts down soon after making the jump because it's out of plutonium, it's out of gas.
Yeah.
Every time it makes, like, you forgot about the fact, sir,
Yeah.
that this thing stops working like as soon as you make the jump. Give
But
yourself
it
a
is
little
such a
bit
great,
more than 10 minutes.
yeah, it is such a great setup though, because then we get the bulletproof thing, which then is going to come back in 3. Like it just
No, yeah,
like,
yeah. But it just makes me laugh because I'm like, really? You could be giving yourself a little bit more than 10 minutes for just cutting it
yeah.
that close,
Oh,
eh? Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Why not give yourself a day? Why not give yourself, a week? Why not?
Why not give
Yeah.
yourself like 30 minutes? Like, or, yeah, because to figure, I don't know. Anyways, it's Marty. He's not the brightest.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not go back and instead of trying to warn Doc, why not go back a day before and like tip off the FBI that there are Libyan terrorists in Hill Valley and
Mm-hmm.
they're in a VW bug,
Well,
a
yeah,
blue
but then they might
VW or a
trace that
VW
back to
van,
Doc.
right? Yeah, sure. Maybe eventually it gets back to Doc. That's a good point. Okay, so give yourself a week, give yourself a full week so that you can go to Doc and be like, listen, so I'm back from 1955, but you're gonna die because your time machine does work, but we need to leave town,
I mean,
and
I'm glad he
yeah,
doesn't because Marty would have
you
just
need to
screwed it up
disappear.
anyway with the whole other
Yeah, well,
self
of
thing.
course.
But I
Yeah,
mean, but
it
yeah,
has to
it's
be. It
just
has to be that like they have to show up. He has to get in the car. He has to go back in time,
yes,
right? Like otherwise,
exactly,
he does
exactly.
everything. So,
Otherwise,
so I
none
guess
of it.
I guess they
Yeah,
thought about it. We're
yeah.
wrong. We're
No,
wrong.
I know we're wrong, but it's just another funny thing where you're like,
Yeah,
really, 10 minutes? Okay.
yeah. Um. So then Marty just goes home and goes to sleep, which I love. It's like he's just been through all of this, and then he's just like, I'll just go home. Doc drops him off, and he's just like, I'm gonna go to the future.
I
Learning no
mean,
lessons.
it's been a rough week. I think he deserves to have a little R&R after
Yeah, yeah,
everything he's
yeah.
been
No, he
through.
does. He does. It's just like the sort of like casualness with which he's gone through this like life or death situation.
Hmm.
Doc is still alive even though he saw him murdered twice, and then he's like, I'm just gonna go sleep, and then he
I
wakes
mean,
up
I'd
in the
like to
morning
think
and
a little
everything's
bit.
fine.
I don't know what time he's getting him home in the morning. I'd like to think because they would have had to pack up the DeLorean, get all the Doc Brown Enterprises truck away. I mean,
Yeah,
theoretically, the Libyans are still crashed in the photo booth in the parking lot. I don't
yeah,
know if that killed
yeah.
them or what. Like, they probably had a little chit chat about everything that's happened, and yeah, then we go home, and
Well, they
then
have the rocket launcher at that point, don't they?
they
Aren't they?
did,
Don't they
but it
pull it?
so they pull it out, and that's when he's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to kick it into high gear." And then they
Yeah,
crash into the photo booth, but the photo booth like explodes when they crash into
yeah,
it. So I don't know
yeah.
if
Right.
that's like
Yeah,
the rocket launcher going off or if that was just like
yeah.
the van
No,
exploding.
that's the rocket launcher going off. The Libyans are
Okay.
dead. The Libyans
Okay,
are
they
for
are dead.
sure dead.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was just
yeah,
like, I mean, they just crashed into a photo booth. Did that kill them? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
They weren't,
yeah. No,
they probably weren't wearing their seatbelts, but still.
yeah, no. They are for sure dead. It's so good. Oh my god. What a fantastic movie. And then everything's fine. We talked about that, right? The book and Biff is a dork now, and
But
everything's
but
good.
Biff but Biff seems does he not seem happier? Like
Yeah,
he
I think
seems
so.
like because he's like, oh, your new book arrived, like, and he's all
Yeah, yeah,
excited
yeah.
and like it's almost and because they're like, yeah, it's weird because he's kind of like waxing their car. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
servant role. But he's like, well, if he hadn't, we never would have fallen in love if it wasn't for Biff,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like Biff seems happier in this timeline. He's not
Yeah.
drunk driving a car around, and like he just, yeah,
And
he's,
it seems to work out for him pretty okay because he does end up having kids because he has a grandson. So
yeah,
in 2015,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, everything works out for Biff, but that doesn't stop Biff later on from you know
yeah. I'm
messing
just
everything
like,
up.
yeah, he seems happier in
Yeah,
this new one. So I
yeah,
like that he played it that way, that he was like a lot of a happier
yeah, yeah,
person,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that you were like, okay, it turns out okay for Biff as well. Like it seemed to
Yeah,
have helped him.
they reverse roles, right? But I think that George is a little bit more of a benevolent dictator
Correct.
than
Yes.
than Biff was. So it's like
Yeah.
because you kind of get the vibe of like
The power
George
dynamic has
is kind
shifted.
of
Yeah.
he's kind of a bit of a bully to Biff. He's like
Yeah.
Biff. He's always trying to get away with something,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a little bit of that
Now
dynamic there,
Biff, two
obviously.
coats of
But
wax on this, not just one.
yeah, yeah, um,
But yeah, and then we see, so the sister's getting lots of dates.
yeah,
The older brother's working at an office.
yeah,
This was another thing that Stoltz had a problem with, because he's like, well, the lesson here is that like they're rich now, and he like, I don't know, he like didn't like that. Which I don't think they're rich.
yeah,
I think they're just very comfortable and well off. I mean, they're
yeah.
still in
They're
the
just
same
okay. Yeah,
house and everything. Um, I mean,
yeah.
Marty does have a brand new truck, so yeah, that's got to cost a good chunk of change there, because opens up the garage and reveals, oh, you got that sweet 4x4.
The Toyota dealership was having a sale though.
I
Like
know,
that's
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's the very
yeah,
first line of dialogue in the film is
yeah.
the
They
Toyota
are,
dealership
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
having a sale.
yeah.
So
So
I
okay,
um yeah. And then we get the best ending to a movie of all time. I think this is like the best. This is like the best tag. If they had never made the sequels, I think this is still an awesome ending, which is Doc showing up again and all of it of like we got to go to the future. What do we become assholes or something? He's like, no, it's your kids. We got to do something about your kids. And
yeah,
then where we're going, we don't need roads, which is like associated with the second movie but is in the first movie. And then the DeLorean flies at the end. And it's like, what? Like, holy crap. Like, just like the thoughtfulness of that ending to me is like such a great component of it
the
that,
like
that
the setting up of a
they,
sequel for a sequel that does not yet exist in the
right.
minds, like it's
And
amazing. Yeah,
the thought process of like, well, cars will fly in the future, right? Like, what do we know
yeah,
about 1955, all this stuff? What do we know about the future? He goes 30 years into the future. By then cars will be flying, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so like the car, he comes back and he's converted the car, so now the car can fly, and so we get to see the car fly at the end. And it's just like, it's just such a cool little
yeah.
button on this otherwise very, like, even though it's a time travel movie, it is a very like sort of small story, right? But then like, and I think that's the criticism that people have for 2 and 3 is that they get so big, right? Like the flying cars and the alternate 1985 and the old west, and like it gets so much larger than that first story, which is like so simple. It's so simple and so self-contained of like 1955, this is what your parents were like as teenagers, and then everything else is just like, well, we got to go
The
back to
second one,
1955 in order to blah blah.
yeah,
And it's like
yeah. The
you got to
second
start
one's
dealing
very
with timelines
convoluted.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, because they did it because they looked down and they said, we have the ability to do something that no one else has been able to do, which is
yeah,
show the first movie from a different perspective, because it's a time travel film.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's why they went with it. But yeah, I mean, the
It's
third
so
one's more
it's
simple,
so
but yeah,
genius.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's,
Um.
anyways, perfect 10.
I mean, like this is one of the best movies ever made. We really just kind of gushed about it and talked about some trivia, and that's all it takes. I don't think that there's a lot of like other work that needs to be done to make the case for Back to the Future as a perfect 10. I think we did a pretty good job.
I mean, the film speaks for itself. I
I think
think you'd
so.
be hard pressed to find anyone that watches it and goes, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's like, I don't really like Back to the Future. I don't think I've
Mm-hmm.
ever heard those words come out of anybody's mouth. Awesome. Well, I mean, as always, Cheryl, it's great to talk about this stuff with you. It's so much fun. But if people want to find you on the internet, where would they do that?
Oh,
What's the
uh,
what? You don't have anything to plug. You don't have
I
your own
don't
podcast or
really.
anything to
No,
promote.
and like
But
my Twitter's a lot like on private now because of the
oh yeah,
whole, yeah. So like everything's kind of locked down. I mean, I'm still on all the same socials that I was on the last time I was on your pod, but everything's on private now because of the state of the world. So I don't have anything to plug.
okay. Well then you'll just find Cheryl here on Perfect 10. Yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing for the next one, but I know it'll be something good. Awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out and talking about Back to the Future with me. Like I said, as always, it's a good time.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great. Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for listening to Thunderquack Perfect 10. You can join the conversation on our Discord server over at thunderquack.com/Discord. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast service and leave a rating and review. And until next time, remember, it's not about the score, it's about the love. Stay frosty. Thunderquack Perfect 10 is hosted by me, Michael Cohen. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TQPerfect10 and join the community at thunderquack.com/Discord. This podcast is supported by listeners just like you over at patreon.com/Thunderquack. Head over there to get early access to episodes, exclusive podcasts, and more. This show is a part of the Thunderquack Podcast Network. Head over to thunderquack.com for more great shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.